Hey there, true believers. This is Chef Jack again with another round of Marvel vs. DC comic book reviews. We are almost caught up with these things. Can you believe it? You've been with us through enough of these things that you know how it works, so I'm not going to bother telling you the rules. Let's go ahead and get started. This time around, we're taking a look at the following. Daredevil, number 28. Despicable Deadpool, number 288. Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, number 31. Justice League of America, number 17. The Commandy Challenge, number 10. Marvel Universe, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 23. Mother Panic, number 12. Ms. Marvel, number 23. Nightwing, The New Order, number 3. Punisher, number 17. Rocket, number 6. The Rough and Ready Show, number 1. Star Wars Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu, number 3. Suicide Squad, number 28. Teen Titans, number 13. And lastly, X-Men Blue, number 14. The one-star books are the worst of the lot for this week. These are trash. These are the ones you really shouldn't waste your time reading. Despicable Deadpool, number 288. If I was so inclined to find one good thing about this issue, it's that it's a quick read, which means that you're not going to be forced to read it for very long. Jerry Dugan is attempting poorly here, to marry Deadpool's standard Looney Tunes mentality with Cable's overly serious time travel nonsense. The result is about as palatable as a mixture of champagne and motor oil, guys. As the title progresses, I suspect that the person who proved to really be despicable is Jerry Dugan himself for, cranking out this wretched crap. It's completely and totally unreadable. It's not even interesting as just a blood and guts shoot-'em-up. The action is boring. The dialogue is stupid. The characterization is typical. And when, typical means Deadpool, it's just, where did the good Deadpool go? That's my question. Teen Titans number 13. This book has absolutely no heart at all, and by heart I mean the, you've got to have heart, all you really need, that style heart. It's got none of it. That's a Broadway reference, kids, go look it up. Anyway, any significance that this particular issue has is dependent completely upon the return of new Wally West, and that feels completely hollow and artificial. I mean, perhaps his return might have felt more important had he been gone for more than, all of 3 months? Even the power struggle between the annoying little shit, as I am now forever going to call Damian Wayne, and the Starfire Beast Boy conglomerate is feeling stale. I mean, amazingly enough, the closest thing this issue has to a workable subplot is when the annoying little shit tries to get Green Arrow's half-sister Emiko to join the team, and even that isn't worth bothering with. This has got to be a new low for this series. The comic books that are awarded 2 stars are bad. They may have 1 or 2 redeeming features that save them from going on the 1-star list, but they're still probably not worth your time reading. Justice League of America number 17. I'm just going to come out and say it. This issue is a huge waste of time. I've struggled with this story, I admit, and I kept hoping that, Panic in the Microverse would be an enjoyable, high-quality story. I'll even say that early on, the story met that expectation for me. And then we got the back half of the story where we were forced to suffer through the exposition-filled recap of basically, Ray Palmer's life in the Microverse before coming to the frustratingly bad conclusion in this issue. Poor pacing, horrible plot, crap characterization, exposition on top of exposition on top of exposition, a story that chases its own tail. What's not to hate in this issue? Even the one redeeming part of Panic in their Microverse, the return of Ray Palmer, resulted in a huge disappointment. The only redeeming aspect of this book is Ivan Reis's art, and I mean that. He delivers exactly what you'd expect from him. His work is amazing. Everything else about this issue is frustratingly bad crap. The books that get 3 stars aren't all that good, but on the other hand, they're not all that bad either. Sure, go ahead and read them. However, get the 4- and 5-star books first. The Commandy Challenge number 10. After the last absolutely excellent issue played out, this one could have started any way Greg Pak felt like starting it. So what does he do? He decides to start it out by having Commandy almost eviscerated by killer robots. That was a pretty good start. Unfortunately, the rest of the issue didn't carry through so well. I mean, for one thing, the ending cliffhanger is as lame as hell, and for another, the plot seemed to not have been thought through all the way. The art is spectacular, and there are some fun, crazy moments in this book, but as a coherent story, it's a complete flop. It's more of a collection of wild scenes that are strung together than a solid story. Marvel Universe, Guardians of the Galaxy number 23. I have never been a big fan of those everything you know is wrong fake-outs that seem so popular in comics. They're usually used as some shocking moment or as a cliffhanger that is later turned into a completely different sequence of events. These types of swerves always felt like cheats to me. They're a way to wriggle out of an earlier bad decision. Abnett and Lanning are trying to do this here, and while it's a good try, it still feels like a cheat. It was inevitable that the dead characters were going to come back. We knew that they were going to come back. We all knew it was going to happen, and boom, it happened. Stories that are so predictable that the quote-unquote big shock can be seen coming a mile away are just an easy rut for a writer to fall into. Maybe Abnett's fallen into this one. Hopefully he can pick himself out of it. Mother Panic number 12. The best parts of this series have always been the glimpses into Violet's past, and this issue has some pretty decent revelations. The subplot about Violet's mother sets up another mystery, and it forges a connection between the two that should bring them together. On the other hand, a lot of this issue was pretty confusing. I mean, what did Gaia know about Violet? How did she know it? Did Jane tell her? Why would Jane tell her? What did Gaia do either to or for Jane to make Jane so loyal to her? I mean, what exactly is the power possessed by Violet's mother? What did she mean by when she was made? Asking this many questions isn't the problem. Refusing to answer them is the problem. I mean, maybe it'll come together in the next issue or the issue after that, but for right now, we're just sitting on a big pile of questions, scratching our heads, and the confusion has overshadowed the positives of this particular issue. Suicide Squad number 28. This was a really boring issue. It had way too many info dumps. A cutback is definitely needed on the dialogue, not to mention a ramping up of the action. Most of this issue consisted of build-up, and sure, build-up is important. It was informative, but you know, who cares if you put the reader to sleep in the meantime? What happened to the potential for mystery? The high points of this issue are Rick Flag and Karen Grace, who seem like they could easily be a more acceptable and less teeth-grindy version of Amanda Waller. Now, I'm not saying I want to see DC get rid of Amanda Waller and replace him with Flag and Grace. I'm just saying, I'm saying that I want to see Waller get the axe and have Flag and Grace replace her. As for the rest, the artwork is amazingly average, if not downright clunky in spots. The coloring was okay, but just okay. The only real top-notch art in the entire issue was the cover. X-Men Blue number 14. This is just a run-of-the-mill issue showing us more of the same stuff we've been getting in the last couple of issues. It's not bad per se, but it's also not anything I'd feel like rushing to the comic store to go get. It's an action-heavy issue, and there's nothing really wrong with action-heavy issues, but it is a bit of a trudge. If you enjoyed the previous Mojo Worldwide issues, you're probably going to like what you're getting here. If you haven't, there's not a lot that I can say that will change your mind. The characters coming back so soon after quote-unquote death, personally for me takes a lot of the enjoyment out of this issue. Danger without any actual danger is boring, not drama. And I hate it when comic book writers take the easy way out. It's a cheat. So like I said, if you already are interested in the story, go ahead. If not, it's up to you. The books that get 4 stars are the good ones. These are the ones that we recommend. They may have 1 or 2 small problems here or there, but nothing that takes away the enjoyment or the quality of the comic book. Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 31. There's a line from The Killing Joke that applies to this issue, and it's spoken by the Joker. and it can't be more true. Here it goes. Memories can be vile. And I get that. I really do. Not every trip down the memory lane is a pleasant one, and even good memories can sometimes be painful reminders of a better time. After finishing this issue, I couldn't help but feel saddened, not just for Hal Jordan, but for Hector Hammond. I mean, Hammond, prior to this issue, to me, was your typical megalomaniac who was jealous of Hal and his life, even prior to his transformation to a huge head on a tiny body. But in just a few scenes, you can totally understand why he's suicidal. If this issue proves anything, it's that anyone can hit rock bottom. I never thought I would feel empathy for a murderous supervillain, but damn, this issue just did that to me. It's great stuff. Ms. Marvel number 23. Ms. Marvel issues are typically self-contained with little impact to and from the other books in the Marvel Universe. This issue is no different. Her stories usually only involve her family, her friends, and any supervillains who occasionally pop up at random to cause trouble in Jersey City. Wilson seems to be avoiding the standard Marvel Legacy opening in this arc, and it's a nice change for readers if you're getting tired of everything every other character does having some enormous impact on the greater universe. This is a filler issue, but it is lighthearted and it is entertaining. The forced conflict between our hero and the visiting Red Dagger was a little forced and over the top, but otherwise, this was pretty enjoyable. And it did manage to avoid the politics that sometimes hang off this character like limpets. It just spent the time telling a pretty decent story, and that's a pretty good thing. The Punisher, number 17. This issue is the conclusion of the story that FLYNN has been developing over the past 16 issues. The final fight seemed a bit short, but seeing what we got in the last issue, it was smart not to repeat a lengthy fight, thus rehashing the same thing over and over. You definitely have to read this issue as a direct continuation to the last issue. The development of Face as a new original character has the potential to be the next Jigsaw. That's a huge prediction, I know, but I sincerely hope that this is not the last that we see of him in the future. The one thing I did want out of this issue was for Frank Castle to acknowledge and overcome the injuries he had to have been suffering in this fight, just to show that he is the tough son of a bitch that we know he is, because that's what the Punisher does. He soldiers on. We didn't get that, but still it was an enjoyable issue. Rocket number 6. This issue is the end of the Blue River Score story arc, and it turns out that it is one of the most heartfelt issues I have read in a long while. It harkens all the way back to the classic Rocket Raccoon story where, he was still a good guy before he just became Rocket the Mercenary. We get some interesting insights into his overall character in this issue. The book wasn't perfect by any means. There was a lot of extraneous detail that we didn't really need dragged into the story, but overall the plot, not only in this issue but of the previous 5, it was fun. I enjoyed reading it. The ending left me wondering if there's going to be a 7th issue, because given how it all wrapped up, I felt suddenly like I was reading the end of a series instead of an ongoing one. That I can't find any information about the cancellation regarding this title makes me wonder, because this was supposed to be an ongoing title, and now it doesn't feel like it. The Rough and Ready Show, number 1. This comic owes more than just a little bit to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's set in a world where anthropomorphic animals exist right alongside flesh and blood human beings. It's also set in the 1950s, and the atmosphere of the book is laced with that McCarthy-era anti-communist paranoia and bigotry that ran rampant at the time. Given Howard Chaykin's other recent comic book effort, The United States of Hysteria, which in my opinion isn't even worth using as toilet paper, much less reading, I was very surprised at how much I loved this book. For all that the heroes of the story are funny animals who star in kids' cartoons, this actually feels like the authentic tale of 2 fading celebrities who are trying desperately to keep their career in the public eye going. The writing was excellent, it was well supported, the art was organic and amazing, and overall I am looking forward to the next issue. Star Wars Jedi of the Republic, Mace Windu, number 3. 3 issues in, and this miniseries has finally found a solid voice, even if the art still remains inconsistent. The writing could have been bolder up until this point, but at least now we're getting to the good stuff, and I'm hoping that the 2 final issues coming up can take it all the way to the finish line. It does present an interesting question. While the small team of Jedi led by Mace Windu try to counter an ecological menace presented by the Separatists, could it possibly be that the Jedi are just as guilty as the Separatists when it comes to endangering the civilians of the galaxy? This issue ends on a very dramatic note, and as I said, I hope that the creative team can continue this level of entertainment going, because it would be fantastic. Out of all the books that I'm reviewing this time around, the 5-star books are the best. They may not be perfect, but they are pretty damn close. Daredevil number 28. This issue is the completion of the Eyes of Betrayal story arc, and I gotta tell you, as far as climaxes go, this was a goddamn good one. The story itself delved into themes of loyalty and family and hope and determination. It took Matt Murdock to the very base core of himself, and it did so simply by testing who he was as a person. That part alone was a compelling read, but where the story really got to me was the tonal shift from mortal peril to the classic Matt Murdock legal jargon, and the optimism in the system to the final betrayal of that system, where in a single panel, Wilson Fisk reduced Matt Murdock to complete rubble. This has always been the sign of a fantastic Daredevil book, not just how many of the hands ninjas Matt can beat down, which, by the way, is a real huge frickin' lot. In the end, this issue did exactly what it was supposed to do. It left me wanting to see what happens next, and boy howdy, I can't wait. Nightwing, The New Order number 3. So, this makes 3 5-star reviews in a row, meaning that so far at least, the entire series has been a 5-star series. I think recently only Mr. Miracle has pulled the same thing off, at least for my reviews. This issue is one awesome holy shit moment after another. It has a ton of really cool cameos. The story's pace feels like Higgins just slammed his foot on the gas all the way to the floor and just decided to go for broke. Trevor McCarthy's artwork is exhilarating, and I love his decision to put the narrative boxes just outside of the action instead of covering it up. And I really want to, give special mention to this cover, just for the sheer power of setting up the proper tone of propaganda. I mean, here, take another look at this cover. This is fantastic, guys. This is utterly fantastic. If you're not reading this series, you really need to be doing so. And now for the roundup and the final scores. This time around, DC Comics had 1 1-star book, 1 2-star book, 3 3-star books, 2 4-star books, and 1 5-star book. As usual, each star is worth 1 point, which gives DC a final score of 25 points. With 8 issues coming from DC this time, this gives them an average score per issue of 3.12 points. Marvel Comics, on the other hand, had 1 1-star book, 0 2-star books, 2 3-star books, 4 4-star books, and 1 5-star book. With each star being worth 1 point, Marvel has a final score of 28 points. I reviewed 8 titles from Marvel, which gives them an average score per issue of 3.5 points. For the first time in a really, really long time, and to the great surprise of everyone watching this video, I'm sure, Marvel actually pulled it out and won it. Congratulations, Marvel. But what did you think, folks? Have you read these issues? Do you feel that I'm way off the mark? Do you feel that I'm spot on? Do you disagree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and give this video a like. Give it a share if you want your friends to see it. If you haven't already done it, go ahead and subscribe. We're nice guys. We produce lots of videos. Hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button. You will not miss any of our future videos at all. If you really like what we're doing here and you want to give us a hand keeping the lights on and keeping the train running, we've got a VIDME page and a Patreon page linked down below. Hop on over there, maybe drop $1 in the bucket. We'd appreciate it. But even if you don't, we appreciate all the time and attention, and we thank you very, very much for watching.